this session and all of them that we're going to cover today, BeEzrat HaShem, should be also dedicated to Rifah Shlema of dear Rabbi Yaron Ruven Shlita. His name is Yaron Ben Doris, Yehudis Bas Noach, Ariel Avora Bas Ana, Yemim Rasirachel Bas Brandel, David Shlomo Ben Sandra. Also a quick release of Moshe Shmuel Ben Pnina, BeEzrat HaShem, and Atzlacha Rabba to Giveres Chana Bas Abraham Avinu and the whole family. BeEzrat HaShem. Alright, so we continue today with our class Shabbos Home, and we today start chapter number 25, and our topic is skinning, mafshit. Av Melachah, section 1, Av Melachah. Mafshit skinning, one of the 39 Avos Melachas that are performed on the Shabbos, are prohibited, on the Shabbos. During the construction of the Mishkan, the Rams and Tachashim, we just had a question about Tachashim a few days ago, right? Are skinned, right? So their hides could be used to cover in the Mishkan. All right. So I think the question was whether tachash is a kosher animal or not. I don't think I have never heard that we ate tachashim. Sorry. So technically, if you think about it, if they would use only the skins of tachashim for a mishkan cover, they can eat the meat. Otherwise, it would be waste. Maybe it's said somewhere. I don't know. It's very interesting, but most likely they're kosher. Most likely, because kosher mean also they call Torah calls it pure animal. So of course you don't want to put something impure in the Beis Hamikdash. Even HaShem created all of the animal, but it's those are pure, those are impure. Right. So that's the skinning part. Okay. Definition: the Melachah mafshit is defined as removal of the hide or skin of any animal, fish or bird, right? Whether kosher or not kosher. Of course, the obvious question: does it apply to my chicken, right? If I eat chicken, right? Can I skin the chicken? Okay, we'll see. Okay, so again, definition is to remove hide or skin from any animal and fish. So also some people like to remove skin from salmon, for example, but usually it's cooked. It's not a big problem, but we'll see. Birds, okay. Let's see. Usually we're talking about that animal, right? So number 3, basic rules of the Melachah. Number 1, Torah and Rabbinic prohibition. So you see, when Torah and Rabbinic prohibition in one paragraph, it means it's very short. The biblical prohibition of skinning apply only if the hide or skin will be used after it is removed. So as always with all other Melachas, we always ask, is it constructive purpose? Like, right, how they're going to use? If they're going to use the skin, so it's on a biblical level, and if they're not going to use the skin, it's always on the rabbinical level. Okay. Continue. Number 2, removing skin after cooking. Here we go. This melacha does not apply to the cooked food. If the chicken or fish is cooked with the skin, it is permitted to remove the. It's not so simple. To skin on Shabbos. Through cooking, the skin itself becomes food. Therefore, its removal does not violate Melachah of Skinning. Commentary as to whether removal of skin violates the Melachah of Borer, see Shabbos Kitchen, page 114. So let's go from the beginning. So that's all. That's all about this halacha. So again, removing the skin after cooking. So so hides are not food. Usually people don't eat hide, but skin is food. Like skin is food, especially after it was cooked. So can you remove the chicken or fish skin? So it depends how you treat it. So if the skin is food for you, meaning you don't mind to eat, there is no problem. So you can remove, for example, you want to eat later, for whatever reason. Right? No problem. Same with fish skin. But if this is refuse for you, it's like garbage for you. You don't like because it's cholesterol, right? To fattening all of these things, right? So in this case, it's like refuse for you. So then you cannot remove it, right? You have to remove food from like meat from skin, or cut it and leave like a thin sliver of this of the meat on a skin. Whatever you do is good. So basically, you remove good from bad, or remove good with bad, one of the two. But if you don't mind, usually you don't mind to eat skin, so that's not a problem. You can remove, because for you it's still food, but you want to leave it for later. Right. So some people remove the skin from kosher chicken. From non-kosher, I don't know what they do. No, I do know what they do. They do with the steam, right? We cannot apply so much steam, right? Because we would not be able to kosher the chicken. You understand? Because the blood is going to get absorbed in the meat, and that's it. Right? So that's why their chickens are more cleaner. But our chicken, you just just remove the skin and don't do this thing. So I remember I came to the butchers like after prayers. So after prayers and before class, I don't have too much time. I have time, but not too much. And he was with the tweezers. Like for a lady. The lady said, please clean the chicken. I don't know how much brain you should have, to ask the butcher to pluck all of the feathers that's sticking out. I'm not sure. Right, but I came in and it looks like I saved him, and right, and she just abandoned the whole ordeal. So if you don't want it with feathers, just remove the skin. That's it, or pluck it yourself. Okay. Continue. Next chapter is number 26, and our topic is tanning. So this tanning is much extensive. Me'abed, tanning. Av Melachah, Me'abed. Tanning is one of 39 Avos Melachas of Shabbos. During construction of the Mishkan, they tanned, right? Animal hides, which were used to cover in the Mishkan. Right, right. We'll see what color they tanned it. I guess to make it a universal color, whatever was it. Right, the Hashkin had they were multicolored. Okay, so again, quickly, tanning is changing the color of this. Of the skins, animal hides, not skins, any animal hides. Sorry. The definition, me'abed, tanning, is defined as improving and preservation of the animal hides by covering, by converting them into the leather. Right. All actions that are performed as a part of this process are included in the Melachah of me'abed. Right, so I think that's what is it? All of the creams come prohibition of using the creams fall under these prohibitions. Okay, so if you ever saw unfinished hides, so it's before the tanning, if you just let it go, it's like a wood. Right, it gets so hard. Once when we were in yeshiva, they took us to a presentation to the guy. He was making a tefillin, handmade. Usually it's like in a factory, but he was sofer, and he would do a special tefillin, I don't know, maybe high end tefillin or whatever was it. But he gave us a presentation, very interesting. So, and one of them was of course, finished, everybody saw finished, but they were unfinished. Unfinished was very interesting. Some of them he just let it be, and hard as as a wood, like unfinished all of these 4 compartments, but not joined. Okay, looks like plastic. It's like, unless you know it's a skin, but it's height, you would not know. All right. So again, quickly the definition. The definition meaning of tanning is improvement of the animal's height by converting into the leather. So leather is very soft and nice, right, and thinner. So meaning they remove all of the hairs, right? They like soak them in some kind of solution 1 time, 2 times. So it's the whole process. And a woman is actually allowed to divorce from a person like that, especially if he was not in this profession before, right? And then he decided to go into this business. There are 3 or 4 professions like that because the smells is terrible. Okay, continue. Right. So section number 3: activities included in Melachah. A, soaking. Here we go. In the salting of the hides. That's why on Pesach we should not make the water like salty water, right? Or like a very moderate solution. So not usually like you. It depends how much, but you make this the water very salty, right? But since there is prohibition to make these brines, right, salty solution, right? It's one of the melachas, like at least 1 step of the melacha. So we try not to do it. So that's the thing. Or like make very weak. Weak is the right word. Okay. So soaking, salting the hides. The process of tanning entails soaking the hides in the various liquids, such as a brine, salt water, water, and tannic solutions. Okay. Some methods of tanning include packing the hides in a liberal amount of salt. Right. One is forbidden to place hides into these liquids or into salt on Shabbos. So that's I think that's more. It would be on a biblical level. So again, the process starts with something like we try to make these hides softer, because once you, as I said, take from the animal, I'm not sure how long that does it take, but unless you process like I think in a matter of days, the way I understand, matter of days, and you have to do something. Right, so they start with a brine, I mean salt water, then added tannic solution, right, and or they packed it in salt. So all of these things are forbidden on Shabbos, right? For example, it's not allowed even on what is it, on holidays. On holidays you're allowed to cook on holidays. There is no problem. Right, and even you're allowed to pickle pickles, right? Pickle pickles, right? Or something, but they say not exactly. Only if you in the time, and even if you want to put salt on, you took a cucumber, you cut it in half, right, lengthwise, and you want to put salt. So don't they say on Shabbos on Yom, don't put it like in a platter like salt, right? You do it only on your personal piece, 1 piece at a time. Why? Because we cannot do this preservation. First of preservation, and that's would be violation of this melacha, right? So that's what they did. They put a lot of salt and let it stay. So of course, that does not say it, but we learn it in our class, Shabbos Kitchen and Laws of Yom Tov, both of them. Okay, so next one, trampling the hides, right? As a part of the tanning process, it is necessary to trample the hides. This hardens the leather and strengthens it. Nowadays, it is achieved by running the leather through the rolling machines. One may not perform the trampling on Shabbos. So trample, how do you trample? Again, so trampling the height. It's probably second step. I'm not an expert. I guess so. I mean, it became somewhat softer, right? So now they need to trample the heights to make to harden the leather, strengthen it. All right. I'm not sure how they would do it like in olden days to walk on it or something. But today they have all these rollers, so it's nice and smooth, like universal perfect, right? Okay. So these things cannot be done on Shabbos. We'll see in a practical application how does it apply. I'm not sure like what would be example. Okay. Because here, but the idea like I think we can get the idea improving the skin, right, and improving. So that right. So of course we cannot apply creams and other solutions. Okay. So C, strengthening and softening the hides. When the hide is removed from the animal, it is uneven, right, and warped, right. At the end of the tanning process, it is stretched on a frame to straighten it. Okay. The leather undergoes various procedures such as soaking in enzymes to soften it. One also straighten or soften the leather on. One who straightens and softens the leather on Shabbos, here we go, right? Violates this Melachah of tanning. Okay, so let's do it one more time and we try to understand. So here's how does it apply? It's obvious now, right? It applies to shoes. So we're not allowed to put like something like shoe trees, right? In shoes. We're going to see some you would be allowed, some would not. So for example, when it's like applicable after rain, like you came home, the shoes are completely soaking wet. So right, are you allowed to put something in there, right, to absorb the water? So for example, you need the shoes for tomorrow, or stretch them, right? Some shoes like fancy schmancy like these dress shoes, they very thin leather. They can get crooked or something like right, unless you put something to strengthen the leather, stretch to stretch the leather. So it would be forbidden. We'll see. In some cases, if it's not stretching, there is no problem. Just to like keep the form, there is no problem. But to stretch it would be an issue. Okay, so quickly this C from the beginning. When the hide is removed from an animal, it is uneven. So we got it, right? So if you see the pictures, and we saw this guy basement, right? The guys where we went to for presentation, right? He had a few frames in the basement, like he was doing everything. I'm not sure he was doing or it was only for presentation. Not sure. I think it's too much work. All of these things. I think it's cheaper to buy from somebody. Let somebody do. If he does fill-in, he makes enough money just doing fill-ins. Okay. So it's uneven and warped, right? And the end of the tanning process is stretched on a frame so to strengthen it. Right? There is like hooks like on this frame. Okay. The leather undergoes various procedures such as soaking in enzymes to soften it. So you need to soften in order to stretch it. It's obvious. One who strengthened or softened the leather, right, on Shabbos, violate the Melachah of tanning. So tanning, of course, has been said, brushing the shoes, right, and polish it. Maybe brush, maybe. Also could be problematic, and polish it like to apply the cream. For sure it's going to be exactly this Melachah, because now they look softer. When you walk is softer, so that's absolutely forbidden. Right. So continue. Lubricating the leather. The finishing touch of tanning include the application of various oils and mixes to the leather. This smoothes the leather and make it soft and pliable. These acts too may not be performed on Shabbos. These things, I think it's not going to apply to us, but let's see. The finishing stage of tanning is including application of various oils and waxes to the leather. So waxes is a key word. That's what Talmud teaches. That's what they used to do. This be wax. So meaning what? How does it apply to us? Very straightforward. So meaning that something like so dense, so like creams, like the hand cream or other creams that are so dense as a wax. So meaning like pretty dense would be forbidden on a biblical level. All others like more liquidish would be forbidden on a rabbinical level, but still forbidden. And if it's free flowing, like a baby oil, right, or olive oil, so you can apply those on Shabbos. Somebody have hands like probably the hands like in winter, so they use creams throughout the whole winter. So we say, yeah, on Shabbos you use oil, olive oil. You cannot use creams. Right, so this smooth the leather, right, and make soft and pliable. These acts too may not be performed on Shabbos. So let me see how long it goes. I think it's it's pretty very long, but just let me see 1 second. All right, so we continue. So section number 4, applying the Melachah of tanning to food, right? So, but by now we know that it does not apply to food. I mean, many melachas that are forbidden to not food options are actually allowed to food options. But it's general. There are exceptions, of course. Bisborer and others. So, subsection 8, the Torah law. The Gemara in Tractate Shabbos 75b states, the Melachah of tanning is not applicable to items of food, so which is good. This means that although the Torah forbids a person to preserve the animal hides on Shabbos, it does not forbid him to preserve food items on Shabbos. One is permitted by Torah law to pickle food in salt and brine on Shabbos, even though this alters the food and preserves them. The reason preserving food does not fall into the category of tanning is that it does not resemble the Melachah performed in the Mishkan. Right. The hides tanned in the Mishkan were preserved from decay for many long years. Since the Shabbos prohibition is based on Mishkan activity, it too includes only those acts of tanning, very interesting, that produce a similarly lengthy period of preservation, namely the tanning of the animal hides. All the salted and preserved food does not last long time. Its longevity does not does last long time. Apologize. Does its longevity does not approach that of the tanned hides. Therefore, it is not included in biblical Melachah of tanning, right? But of course, right? It would be, if I remember correctly, it is forbidden on a rabbinical level. Of course, on the biblical level, in order for some action to be forbidden on a biblical level, it must resemble a very, very close action that they were doing while constructing the Mishkan. So it's, of course. So quickly, let's reread quickly. The Gemara Tractate Shabbos states that the Melachah of tanning is not applicable to items of food. So far, so good. This means that although the Torah forbids person to preserve animal hides on Shabbos, so in preservation, if I remember correctly, all of these items are intact, like the roof that Moshe Rabbeinu did. what spoiled? I don't remember what exactly spoiled, but I think that roof and other things were exactly intact. Right, so meaning whatever Moshe Rabbeinu did, right, it is forever. What other people did, it's not so much. It's very interesting. That's one of the reasons that Hashem not allowed Moshe Rabbeinu enter Eretz Israel, because if he would build Beis Hamikdash, and there is no doubt that he would do it as soon as possible, right? As soon as so he would not drag the war for conquering of the land for 14 years, right? So he would do it much quicker, and then right, and then would he would do the Beis Hamikdash. So this Beis Hamikdash would stand forever, and since Moshe Rabbeinu would need to die anyway one day, so Hashem cannot destroy the Beis Hamikdash. He would need to destroy somebody else. I don't want to say who. Right, so the preferred way would be for a Beis Hamikdash to be destroyed, not a Jewish nation. Okay, it's Hashem's mercy, of course. Right. Okay. So right. So meaning the sky. So it's that does not forbid him to preserve foods on Shabbos. So foods on Shabbos it is. But the problem is that to preserve foods on Shabbos, there is another Melachah Chachana, right? What is it? We learned before, right? That you're not allowed to prepare for the weekday, right? So meaning, can you pickle food? Yes, but only what you can eat today, right? So if it's for tomorrow, it's preparation for the next day, and same even on Yom Tov, right? On Yom Tov, you cannot prepare on a first day of Yom Tov for second day. Also problematic, right? Or I think somebody said in the shul, I did not check, but somebody said in the shul that this year the pace pacing maybe first days is going to be 3 days in a row, right? So meaning you cannot prepare from one day to another, right? Right. Okay. So that is. Even though what I'm trying to say, even though it says that it is allowed to preserve food, but it's not allowed to preserve food even for the next day, right? One is permitted by Torah law to pickle food in salt or brine on Shabbos, even though this alters the food and preserves them. And plus, as we know, like these brines, like some of the very, very strong solutions, they actually cook the food. And for example, fish, you can cook fish, like cook in double quotes, through salt in it. I think that's what they do with salmon. I'm not sure how many hours. So we're talking about hours. We're not talking about days. That has to stay in salt, and it's going to be ready. Right. So continue. The reason preserving food does not the reason preserving food does not fall into the category of tannin, right? Tannin, as we said, right, to improve the hides, right? To apply this salt, as we said, packing salt or just salt solutions, right? Mixture with water. Is that it does not resemble Melachah performed in the Mishkan. The hides stand in the Mishkan were preserved from decay for many long years. So, as I said, I think I learned somewhere that even this roof survived for hundreds of years, if I remember correctly. So, I mean, if it was original, maybe 1,000 years. Okay. Or close to 1,000 years. Since the Shabbos prohibition is based on the Mishkan activity, so meaning the end result is not the same. So I mean, right, maybe even if you pickle this pickle in like perfect solution, right? Still, it's not going to survive. I don't know how long it can stay. Maybe with preservatives, wherever they add today, I don't know, a year, 2 years, 3 years, but that's it. Right? It's going to go bad. Right. Lengthy period of preservation, namely the tanning of animals' hides, right? So that was in the job in the Mishkan. Although salted and preserved food does last long time. The longevity does not approach the 10 heights, right? Not even close, as we understand. So that's the end result. So basically, the preservation, there is a preservation, there is a preservation. So it's a big difference, like few years and hundreds of years. Therefore, it is not included biblical Melachah of Tanning. Now we go into subsection B, and our topic is going to be a rabbinic law. Right, that's the point. Although the Melachah of Tanning by Melachah of Tanning by biblical law does not apply to food, the rabbis forbade certain activities related to the long-term preservation of food because they resemble tanning. The rabbis were concerned that people would confuse food and hides. Very interesting. And would assume that if preserving food is permitted, preserving hides is permitted as well. The prohibited activities are as follows. Okay, so let's stop here and let's try to learn the logic. So rabbis say, right, there is no problem with tanning the foods, right, to preserve the foods. But the problem is that majority of people do not learn. Period. They don't learn. They heard something from here, heard something from there, and that's it. That's the learning of the week or of the month, right? And then somebody mentioned something in a lecture that was on a different topic, but he brought an example, and they think they know the Melachah, which is not true. And then they see somebody doing something, and people, usually ignorant people, they overestimate themselves, and they think that they can derive one from another. Right? And they, as we said many times, so our rabbis were afraid of that. Right? They were afraid, meaning they were concerned about it, that people are going to draw our own conclusions. That's the whole idea, as we learned many times, and there are many questions about it, asking in this specific class about Maris Ayin. What is Maris Ayin? Do something like which is absolutely allowed, permissible, no problem whatsoever, right? But people, like bystanders, they can draw their own conclusion, right? And that's why our sages say, don't do it, because you might get them to sin. Not you, but them. So exactly the same is here. So people, so rabbis were concerned if you allowed people to preserve the food. So people would say, well, what is the difference between foods and hides? And plus, as I said, it was a long time ago. There is a specific time. Was it 2 days or 3 days when you have to start working on this hide? Otherwise, it's garbage. So it's like the changes would be irreversible, right? And where did we learn it? Maybe it was Mishnah Yoma. Maybe that's what Kohanim, right? In after some sacrifices, I think from Ola. So Ola's sacrifice when complete burning, right? Nobody gets anything. No Kohanim, not honor. So it's everything go altar. But Kohanim gets hides, so they were not. I mean, it's the cheapest reward, right? Because you have to still pay somebody to work on these hides and stuff like that. And meat, of course, meat is much better, right? So and Kohanim, they had only several days. Yeah, they got the hides today, but they have to give it to somebody so they can start working. Very interesting. Okay, so our rabbis say, yeah, even though to food it does not apply, but we say that don't do the food. Why? Because you can send the wrong message to other people. Next one, pickling. So it's like apologize, prohibited activities as follows. So that's all of this rabbinical prohibition. The rabbis decreed that a person may not preserve food by pickling them in the vinegar or brine on Shabbos. So what is brine? Is salty water. So even like brine from you open up, you bought a jar of pickles from the store, and you used it. So I think the solution is still, maybe it's not as, of course, as fresh like as when they pickle them, but I think if you like put there like fresh cucumber, it still can preserve it. For sure, change the taste. Right? That's what we sometimes do. We have like sometimes you buy olives and like different company, the different brand you never tasted before, and they are tasteless basically. So and then you open another jar with very good olives. So we take them out, eat them, and in that solution we put those. Of course, they're not going to be exactly as originals, but at least some improvement. Not as tasteless as they were before. So meaning this brine you can reuse. That's what I'm trying to say. So again, the rabbis decreed that the person may not preserve foods for pickling them in vinegar or brine on Shabbos. It's not like you make it vinegar, not you making brine. Even to make the brine itself is forbidden, right? But even if it was already made, as I just give example, also forbidden. They felt that the pickling resembled tannin, in that it improves and alters the food while preserving it. For sure, it's I mean, if you want like this pickled pickles, yeah, for sure it's going to improve, and for sure it's going to preserve. So if you're going to leave it like that, even in the refrigerator, it's going to go bad. I'm not sure, maybe 1 week, 2 weeks later, for sure all this they're going to go bad. But if you put them in a jar of this with a vinegar or with a brine, it's going to stay for a very long time, very long time. This prohibition applies only to the food whose quality is improved or whose texture is altered through the pickling. For example, vegetable, fish, meat. Okay, I'm not sure what would be the exception. Meaning the exception would be, the way I understand, maybe if this brine would ruin the food. Right, so for sure nobody wants to ruin the food, so it would be exception. But if it's improving the food, as I said, like with this brine, you can cook the fish, right? Cook fish easily cooked in this brine. Right, meat. I'm not sure if if you can affect the meat like quickly, but maybe in the long term, after some time, it's going to improve for sure. But texture for sure is going to improve, right? Texture and taste for sure. Okay. So next one, A. So it's like sub point. Replacing pickles in a pickle jar. One is permitted to put pickles back in the pickle jar, right, on Shabbos, because they have already been pickled. They undergo no change when replaced in the brine. Therefore, their replacement in a jar is not an act of pickling, so, which is a beautiful point. So you took pickles from the jar, right? Put them on the table, maybe like cut them in half, right, lengthwise or something, whatever, or like in rings, whatever you do is good, right? And then you want to put it back, whatever is left over, there is no problem. Right, so it's not like you put in them for the first time; they were there. So meaning this brine is not going to affect it. Right, so the vegetable, HaShem created the world this way that vegetable usually cannot absorb more than they need to. Of course, they don't over salt it, but meaning that like once it is absorbed all the salt, if it was a right proportion, it's going to stay this way forever. It's not going to get over salted, right? This jar, one second. Right, so that's why you can return the back. Just quickly a reminder, what we learned in our kosher kitchen. Be careful how you remove these jars from not jars, these pickles from the jar. You have to do it like I always say. Have a part of fork, right, and use part of fork to take it out, right? If it's for a part of food, use part of serving utensils, right? Otherwise it could be a problem, right? If you have a meat meal and you took this, you pierced this pickles, right? And then you took them out of the jar and then you just replace them. But remember, it was a meat fork, right? And fork, as we said, it has a status of halakhic status of knife, right? Because how you cut with knife, applying pressure. So same as fork, you pierce it applying pressure. So that's this pickle is a meat pickle. So you cannot eat it in your daily meal. So of course you can cut the half of it, but just we have to remember this. If you finish them, there is no problem. But if you did not finish, that would be a problem. So next one, point number 2. So the first one is pickling, second is salting. As mentioned above, the Melachah of tanning includes packing, the hides and salt. So packing meaning apply a lot of salt. The rabbis felt that salting certain types of food resembles salting hides, right? For the food like the hides is altered and improved by salt. To avoid the confusion, the rabbis prohibited salting the these types of food on Shabbos. Okay, so let me see how long is it. Okay, so we just finish this and we stop. All right, no problem. So again, salted. So salt is before that we said pickling. Pickling meaning you use liquid, and salting meaning you apply salt on a dry food, without liquid. Okay. So, but as we said on the previous page, that's how people work with hides. Like some of them, I'm not sure in what situation you pick what, but in some cases they would put a lot of salt, like it would be layers. Had the case in the Talmud, right? So something happened to that, layers, and another is you just put in a solution, and right. So here we're talking about without water, as mentioned above quickly. The Melachah of tanning includes packing in hides and salt. Okay. The rabbis felt that the salting certain types of food resemble salting hides. So again, you took some what is it? Salt. There is this, they call it salt dish. It used to be very popular. So today, I mean, they still called they still sell it, but it's not as popular. So I mean, today we have salt shaker, which is much better, it's not. I apologize. Much safer than the salt dish, because salt dish, people in my a long time ago, right? So people would dip the food into everybody, family would share the same salt dish, right? But you need to have a separate one for dairy, right? For dairy meal, and the separate for a meat meal. So I have to be careful. You cannot do that, right? Because the particles of the meat or the dairy is going to stay in this salt dish, right? And then people will take with their fingers. Also, the problem would be if you have soiled fingers, some salt, and put it on your tomato or cucumber, and eat it like that. I mean, today we know that not to eat so much salt, but in olden days that's what we used to do. Continue altering the food. Right. So again, the rabbis felt the salt in certain types of food resemble salt in the hides, meaning you put a liberal amount of salt on top, right? For the food like hides, okay, right? Like the hides is altering and improving by salt, right? So for example, radish. So can you eat it like that? No, it's very sharp, right? But if you put some salt, you can eat it. To avoid confusion, the rabbis prohibited salting these types of food on Shabbos. So to make it simple, okay, because it looks like again as packing. So, okay, sub point: food to which salting prohibition applies. The prohibition applies to foods whose quality is improved or the texture is altered by salting. I think all of them quality improve when quality improve. Some quality could be tasting as well, right? Quality. This includes bira. Here we go. Pregnant foods. This what is it? This radishes for sure, right? Bira pregnant foods that become edible when salted. It also includes vegetables. So as we said, cucumbers, tomato, right? Which harden when salted. Okay. And beans which soften when salted. Okay. So we're going to see. All right. Let's stop here. Take 5 minutes break, and then we continue with different topics. So then the next topic that we're going to start with HaShem next week is permissible methods of salting. Right, and we covered this partially. Well, you see, like one book is not enough. So in our class of Shabbos kitchen, it was like not all of the information was there. Let's put it this way. Because there he concentrated only on the kitchen, and here he concentrated in general. So some things that we said there is not here. Okay. So let's stop here 1 second.